Morning, everyone. I'm Belinda. We're here with Just Be Yoga and our home yoga practice live. I'm really happy to see you all. Please let me know that you're here. So just say hello if you like. I'll just give a brief introduction about the program for those who may be new. Home Yoga Practice Live is where we're developing, hopefully, our personal yoga practice within some framework and some planning. So this week's structure or development plan is around the theme of self-study or svadhyaya. So we've been talking about it. We've been working through some elements in it. Svadhyaya means study of self or self-examination or of tradition and ancient texts. So maybe if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to share about different kinds of books of guidance. I think I've been mentioning Deeper Dimensions of Yoga is a really great book that you can kind of go in and out of. The chapters are really small and it has a depth and breadth of tons of essays and texts. All right. Today, our practice is going to be finding new edges, okay? So we're going to do our check-in. I am still really open to seeing who's here. And if there's anything that you have a question about, or maybe a pose or a breath practice or meditation practice that you have a question about in context with study, let's put it down and let's all share and learn from it and see if there's an answer I can provide or some guidance towards some resources to help you on your journey in that regard. All right. So good morning. Let's get started in a seated space. You could be sitting in a chair. You could be sitting with your back up against a wall. Let some of that quietude come in. Maybe take a moment and review your own yoga plan. Why am I here? Who is the me who has arrived here today? In thought, in emotion, in flesh. And how are they working together in harmony? I'll invite us to join with a single Om, bringing in that sense of resonation. Maybe allow yourselves to study or observe all that you can about sensation and texture and stimulation in the physical body and in the mind. Deep inhale, wide open throat. Maybe let's do that again and literally use it to clear our throat. Feel your intention to sit up tall in the spine. Maybe eyes are closed or the eyelids are heavy. Feel the remnants of that vibration within you. Feel your thoughts and your reflections in your throat and your voice. What did you just notice about your articulation and voicing of yourself? And let's turn the neck to the right and left and right and left. And let's just keep going side to side. You choose your pace and start to use whatever it is you're observing about your range, about your bones, about resistance to help you figure out a new pace, to help you stay in a space of awareness, and exploration. And then around in a circle. Awareness and exploration. And then can we maintain that connection with the spine sitting up tall? What are we aware of? How much of our entire physical being can we be aware of? Change direction. How much of the effort that we're applying can we be aware of? And let's pause with the left ear toward the left shoulder. We'll bring the left hand up by the right ear. Maybe you're pulling down a little, maybe not. Observe what's going on. Observe what you would prefer for this moment, not a future moment of how you want that neck to feel or be. Not a past moment. Release. We'll rock the chin down and over to the other side. Right hand up by the left ear. Beautiful. We'll release and bring the chin down and just tilt the chin up and down. What is the range? Hold down. And feel a little upward lift through the back of the throat. Squeeze your core without sucking the tummy in. And then we'll do the Mula Bandha as well. So a sphincter hold or a Kegel. And breathe. Nice. Let's release. We'll cross the right arm across the chest. Hook under it and twist. Breath. Is anything still moving? Are we at peace in the shape that we're in? And release. We'll come around to the other side. Is anything still moving? And release. Let's breathe in. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Gentle side bend. You choose a side. Can you keep both sit bones grounded, both butt cheeks evenly grounded? What are we observing? What's actually releasing? What is going on? And bring ourselves up and over to the other side. Dropping the hip down, seeing if we can feel the lengthening through the side of the waist, close to the hip. And bring ourselves up. Nice. And we'll release those arms down. Switch the cross of your legs. Now change something also about the cross. So now I've gone into a full Ardha Padmasana. So I've got this heel up by this hip instead of a full lotus. So change something that's accessible for your knees and your hips and your thighs. But you're aware of the change. You feel the change in your body. Maybe take a moment and reflect. Is there something that's uncomfortable? And what is the nature of that uncomfortable? What is the nature of discomfort right now? Is it intolerable? Is it just something that's distasteful? What are the characteristics of what is uncomfortable or just different? And we'll twist. Can you feel something rising physically in your muscles and your bones? Can you feel something rooting physically in your muscles and your bones? How about what's going on in your mind? Does the mind run off to the workplace, to an argument you had with someone, to a plan you have for the future? And how do you reel it back to being on your mat, in your skin right now? I didn't say, can you do it? I said, how do you do it? And do you do it with anger? Do you do it with frustration or punishment, criticism? Or do you do it in a kind of humorous way? Like, look what I just did. Oh, and gently release. And notice, what does releasing feel like? You know, we often just say release. But what are the characteristics of what's going on? And then we'll find the other side. Hi, Ansel. I see that you've written a comment. When I'm done with this twist, I'll come up and read. I cannot read from this distance. Feel your bones, feel your flesh. Be in your breath. And sit right now and see if you can find quietude. Quietude physically, quietude breath-wise, quietude mentally. And just observe that. Observe the seeking of quietude. Observe the seeking to practice quietude. And we'll gently release. And as we're releasing, observe and try to examine, what does releasing feel like? All right. Thank you so much. Ansel is joining us from our Facebook side. I'm sorry, our YouTube side of things. He's been studying the lower abdominal muscles between the belly button and pelvic floor. Didn't even know that there were muscles there until a few days ago. All of a sudden, bow pose, way easier. Wonderful. Good, 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 good. When we were starting to do the chin down, I spoke about the mula bandha. And so if we bring that attention to that sphincter area and give it that contraction, try to see if you can be aware of the muscles that are on the bottom of the inside of your pelvic floor. So the skin and the flesh on the inside of your pelvis holding your organs from spilling out. All right. And then that will also start to give you a little bit more awareness of at least that area. And then immediately in front of your pelvis, this little teeny V right here. Can we ask that area to contract? We're very accustomed to using the abdominal areas that are up here. But down here, and it really correlates to our low back as far as how much support we're able to give to the low back and to our, of course, the low core. So thank you so much for sharing that, Ansel. All right, so we've done a little bit of releasing and observing. We're going to start to move now. Remember that our 4 postures, at least my 4 postures of practice this week are cross-legged chair, dancer, and I'll demonstrate that later. I guess you could see it underneath the B up there, and mermaid, and our fish. Today, I'll be introducing things for us as new levels or layers to explore, giving us a little bit of new nuggets to practice the study muscle, that observation muscle, that examination muscle. And remember, please, that examination is not just about what happens here. Whatever it is we get to examine, call this the microscope or the dish that we're looking at under the microscope. And then we take all that we got to see and apply that in our lens in the rest of our actions and our words and our intentions off the mat, in our encounters with our family, with our friends, our co-workers, in our encounters on social media, in our relationship with how we take in information. Information is just another form of nourishment. Are we bringing in information that's toxic to our psyche? Are we overdoing it on certain kinds of information or the mediums in which we ingest them? Y'all are picking up what I'm laying down, right? But all of that, looking at that inflow, but we've got to bring that gaze of study and apply it. That's how we get to flex that study muscle, right? Because if we're not used to studying in that kind of way, nobody is practiced at it. So we've got to try it, practice it, and keep coming back. All right, let's come to our hands and knees. And maybe close your eyes. And we can shift forward and back and observe your physical self. And notice how having the eyes closed has changed our powers of observation, our relationship to what's going on, shifting left and right. Good. A few cat and cows with our eyes closed, feeling your upper chest. Can you bring your attention into your upper chest? Is that bending? Or really is only the neck and the low back bending? Kind of moving a stiff and rigid chest area that has the rib cage. This is not meant to judge. Let's just bring that awareness because it is the least movable range or segment of our spine. Find your neutral space. Feel your weight bearing. Can you bring some awareness into how much weight is being borne? Left arm, left knee, right knee. How do we seek and find equilibrium? And then let's see if we can, at the same time, left leg, right arm, lift and lower. Left arm, right leg, lift, extend, 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 and lower. Now let's try to squeeze the abdomen as we go. Right arm, left leg, lift. Feel containment and solidity in our midsection. Lower. See if you can keep that engagement as we switch, alternate, feel. What are we learning and observing about weight bearing? What are we learning and exploring and observing about our containment and solidity in the center of us? All right, we're going to come to the left arm, right leg lifting. Bend the right leg, feel. Try to send that right heel up toward the ceiling. Reach the left arm back. See if that left arm can find the right foot. If not, just stay here and feel that experience. If you get the foot, hold on, push through the right, lift in the chest, and observe what is going on. Observe what's going on in your hip, your knees, where your hand is in contact with your foot, your ankle, your breath, your core, your left leg, your right arm, your neck, your face. Release without snapping. If you've got it, extension. And bring that arm and that knee down. Right arm, left leg. Hear your breath. Bend the left knee. Where's your mind? Sometimes, not knowing where we're going, we approach it with far more kindness and understanding and acceptance and no expectation. Now that you kind of maybe know where we're going, what's already changed in your mind? What's already changed in your motivation and your actions? Study. Now we'll reach back. Remember, if you're not finding it, just keep your arm there and stand. We still have a lot to explore. You can bend that knee, find the foot. Are you meeting this side for what it has to offer? Or are you placing demands upon it for how it is not the other side? What's the quality of your breath? How can your shoulder and your chest open to help bring ease? Without snapping, release and find extension. And we'll bring that hand and that knee down. A few cat and cows. How is the back responding? What are you learning about how much different areas of the back had been working that maybe you were not aware of at the time? Good. Let's find child's pose. We'll widen the knees, sink the hips back. Good. And just take a rest, however you would like. You could be resting your head on your hands, maybe on a block or a pillow. And we'll come up to hands and knees. Tuck the toes, lift the hips downward facing dog. What's still being active in your body, or did you just kind of let everything go into autopilot? What's lifting? Could you lift through the tailbone? Could you lengthen your waist? What would you have to root and lengthen in order to feel your waist moving? Do you need someone else to guide you through exploring movements in the body you live in? Can you start to experiment moving some regions and notice what responds? Lightly bend the knees. We're going to walk the hands back to the feet. Take your time, hanging out. And let's walk the hands forward. Come all the way to plank. Take a breath. Lower through. Feel the contact with the earth. If you were to describe right now the moment of contact and how it felt and how it feels now, would you be able to, because you were that aware of the process of arriving? Breath in, lift the chest. What could you describe about the process of that lifting? Where you felt what? And then downward facing dog. Breathe in, breathe out. I'm only sharing as a way to start to open our minds to levels of awareness and attentiveness. Inhale, look forward, and let's step the feet up in between the hands. If you've been coming for a while, you know you can bring your knee down and step your way up. We all find our way up. Now spread your toes. Each toe, look at them and ask, let's just do this for a moment. Independent toes. Can you send a brain signal to one toe and ask it to move? Do the equivalent toe on the other foot. Do we have independent control of each toe? And if we do not, what does it take to bring our awareness of what is actually going on? What's the signal my feet are receiving versus the signal I'm sending? Am I sending the signal? How do I know? Notice little minute changes as you start to fine-tune your signal to move even just one digit, just a little bit, to say, oh, it is receiving a signal. Half flat back breath in. Puma, you are not welcome today. Forward fold. For those of you who were here yesterday, Puma jumped up on my back while I was in the middle of a pose. Half flat back breath in. Forward fold, breath out. Let's come all the way up to standing and reach and forward fold, release. Half flat back. Look at those feet. Now feel your arches. Can your arches be lifting? How do you activate in that way of how you're standing in your feet? We'll step back to plank. Where is your weight in the plank? Are you back in the heels? Are you forward in the hands? What's going on in the middle of you? Could you squeeze the thighs, and would that afford yourselves a little bit more support so that the arms and the upper back are not doing all of the work? Breath in. Exhale, lower it down. Yes, baby, I love you. Let's breathe in. Lift the chest. Keep the hips down. Elbows bent. What's moving? Remember when we were in the cat and cow and I said, can you ask the upper chest to move? Is only your low back moving to let you lift up a stiff chest, or can the chest move? Use those brain signals just like we did on the toes. Breath and downward facing dog. Let's walk the hands back to the feet. Bend the knees, sink the butt back, lift the chest chair. Weights in the heels, scooping the tailbone under, lifting the chest. Now let's start to explore, okay, where's the weight in which foot? Am I in one foot more than the other? What are my inner thighs doing? What are both knees doing? How are they giving me stability, or are they wiggly, wobbly? Puma. All right. If you're joining, remember you could stay in your chair, or we're going to do a cross-legged chair. I'm going to cross one ankle above the knee, weight back, chest up. Maybe there's a cat knocking into you, giving you added, go away, breath. I think she's determined that this is like yoga playtime for the kitty. And we'll bring that left foot down, come all the way up to standing, find a clasp, upper chest, shoulder blades pulling in together. Are you pushing down? Are you lifting? Where is space being created in your body, not condensing and contracting? How do you embody that notion? And take it forward. Oh! God. Release the arms down. It's apparently going to be a daily thing, I guess. Except I was going to go to chair now. But I think what we'll do is we're going to walk forward. Get off my head. Let's walk forward to plank. Walk it. Take it back to down dog. Walk it back to the back of your mat. Bend the knees. Sink the butt back. Lift the chest chair. All right. New space. Choose where you want the arms to be. Come here, baby. Now, can you sink it deeper? What does that mean? Did you go too far? Deep where? Can you change your relationship to intensity wherever you are? Now squeeze the core, squeeze that mula bandha. If you want, we're going to cross the right ankle over our left knee. Breathe. Uncross. Hands behind us. Calmness standing. Lift the chest. And bring it forward. Release those arms. Or hold on if you want. I had to in order to stop someone from jumping on my back. Breath. And now let's walk it forward to plank. If you can, legs together, squeezing the thighs. Maybe your knees are down. Try to have your nipples over thumbs and elongate the body. Now do that mula bandha and squeeze your solar plexus area of the core. Where is there unnecessary tension? The best way to study and explore that is untense something, and you will know immediately if you need to tense it back up. We're going to lower down to our bellies and explore observing the transition downward. Oh my gosh. I'm going to have to close the door and not let her in anymore. All right. Hands down alongside the waist. Feel the relationship that your front body is having with the earth and the mat. And we'll push down through the arm. Lift the chest, cobra. What are you doing? What are you doing? Breath in. And child's pose. Get down. Let's come on back to hands and knees. We're going to lengthen the right arm and the left leg. Bend that left leg and see if we can find that foot or ankle. And pull that leg up to the ceiling. Push down with the left arm and open the chest. All right, find a new threshold of the number of breaths that you want to explore. I'm going to go for 10. Puma. There's a cat grooming my head. And release when you're ready. Feel free to do anything you need for a transition. Maybe a down dog. I'm just going to stay right where I am. Oh, what a week this is. All right, when we're ready, we'll lengthen the right leg and the left arm. We'll bend that right knee. Reach back with that left hand. Find what we find. And lift. Can we feel upward energy, downward energy, and where's the balance and the equilibrium? Is the chest moving? How could our mind find more quiet here? How could the body find more quiet here? And gently release. And we'll go to child's pose. Good, and let's bring ourselves upright. And let's come to hands and knees. I'm going to turn sideways now that I no longer have a feline on my back. And we'll step the right foot out to the side. Aim those toes forward. Yes, Claudia, Puma is crazy. And we'll come up to standing. Feel out your hips. Keep the hips over this knee. We'll lengthen upward. And we're going to side bend over here. Now try to recall when we did the side bend from a cross-legged position. Can this area find movement? Is anything still moving? She's totally biting me. And bring ourselves back up. And we'll revolve over this leg and take it forward. Now we're going to hold here and let's see if we can extend ourselves to maybe 10 or 15 breaths. Allowing for shifts and changes with every exhale. Physical shifts, mental shifts. I knew you were going to do that. What's changing? Where's your mind? What are you learning about what actually changes in your physical body? Small muscles, small tendons. What are we learning and noticing about what's connected to what physically? And let's bring ourselves back up. And we're just going to switch. We're not going to do the full Parigraha series Gonna step that leg in and step this leg out to the side. Keep the toes aiming forward, so we might feel some resistance along the side of that calf. Coming up onto this left knee, hips, spine. Push that foot down. Squeeze this thigh. What do we notice? What's going on? What are we wanting to change? Are we still applying ourselves? Are we still practicing a thing, or are we just sitting here? And let's lengthen. And side bend. Woo-wee. Maybe push the hips up. Forward, relax your shoulders. Feel your physicality changing. Maybe observe mental and physical negotiation. And we'll gradually come up, feel that releasing. What's going on? What's coming back into form, returning to a shape, or adjusting into a returned shape with different texture. And we'll turn, feel the turning. I definitely became more aware of the rooting on the inside of this thigh as those muscles and as those tendons started to twist. Reapplying, squeezing that left leg, and whoop, it does not want to move. All right, here we go. Now we're coming down. Coming down. And find your range of extending your amount of time by counting your breaths. New edge. New experience in the body, in range, time, duration, depth. And we'll come around to center and we'll bring this leg in. I love that, Ansel. Ansel said, Puma's lesson of the day is laughter is an excellent breath practice. Yes. Yeah, but I also remember yesterday I had said, oh, I've got to cut her nails. I didn't. So today's lesson is try to do the things you said you were going to do. My discipline, my tapas, because I'm paying the price each time she has jumped up on me. Alrighty, let's get ready for our mermaid. So we're going to, actually, let's do a pigeon. Yay! All right, so I'm going to bring my right leg out, bent in front of me. You can choose where that heel is, maybe closer to the groin, or maybe a little bit more out toward the shape of a 7. Let's see about rotating that left kneecap to face the floor. And then you could have blocks out in front of you if you would prefer to be using your arms on a block, maybe an ottoman or a stool. And Let's bring the right hip back, left hip forward, and sit upright. How erect can we be? Now, what's wonderful here is we get to bring back into that focus about that upper chest. So let's think about the cat and cow and the cobra. Feel the spaces in between both of your ribs. Can you get any flexion in the upper chest? Check in to keep the neck neutral so that you're not moving the neck and saying you're moving your chest. Now, if you tighten those low abs, that might help keep the low back stable, and we can lift the chest up and ask that upper thoracic area to move. And then breathe. So engage your Mula Bandha, engage your low abs. Try to just squeeze and contain. Keeping that check neutral and ask, am I lifting? Am I lifting? Are there other areas of the body I'm becoming aware of right now? Try not to tune anything out. Study is examination. Study is observation. Now let's go ahead and walk it forward. Now, can you apply length? So if you push down through the forearms and pull, can you elongate the spine at all? And where are we noticing that? What amount of pressure are we feeling in that right hip or butt? How are we experiencing intensity? How are we treating ourselves within the intensity? Give yourselves a new edge, whether it's another set of breaths, or you're changing your positioning to change that level, that layer. And try to exist in this space in harmony. And then let's bring ourselves up. Feel that releasing, whatever that is to us. Maybe we're learning the nuances of release in different spaces. I'm going to shift, and I'm just going to switch on over to the other side. Right kneecap facing down. Choosing the angle of that left leg. Positioning this upper body. Navigating, negotiating, send your brain signals, see what wants to move and respond to the brain. And is the brain responding to what the body sends back? And we'll practice this upward moving, this feeling and this attentiveness of the upper chest. And it was just really coming to me about our expectations. What are our expectations of yoga in different regions of our body? Do you have an expectation of how this pose will feel one day? And have we ever even contemplated that our vision of one day may not occur? And how is that sitting with us? That maybe the way that you encounter pigeon every time you start to get in it, that this is your experience. How do we find santosha, contentment with that? What are the expectations we bring with different movements, different poses, the relationship we've had with them, and the expectation of the relationship we think we want with them or we think we can achieve? What is the imagined peace? And how do we bring that overlay of that imagined peace into the current lens? And if you put that overlay of that piece right now, how would you experience this pose right now? What would you change? Would we be applying ourselves with a different intensity? What does wearing acceptance mean? And listen for all of the buts going on in the argument in your head, right? Because our head goes, but shouldn't this be this way? And but at this age in my life, shouldn't it be? Or but I've been doing yoga for this long, so shouldn't, and just really observe, study. When you're ready, start to come forward. What are we really navigating in these poses? Yes, there's a physicality. Yes, there's anatomical, there's kinesiology, there's organ function, there's so much stuff. But under that physical layer, what are we really encountering, engaging, observing, and learning from? What are the lived, resonances and vibrations inside of the energy within us? And what are the obstacles to us seeing things clearly? Because if we can find that clear sight, we'll probably find some peace. That peace that's born out of equilibrium, of not living in a state of excess or deficiency. We also get to come to peace with impermanence, that nothing is static. And let's gradually bring ourselves upright. I'm going to bring this leg out in front of me. I'm going to come to Dandasana and we'll do a Paschimottanasana, realizing I've started to really push us toward the edges of our practice here today. So let's find an intention of sitting, flexing the toe, chest is upright, chin tucked, upward lift through the back of the throat. Engage your Uddiyana Bandha, that's that solar plexus lock. Mula Bandha, getting that sphincter or that Kegel hold. Squeezing the thighs, individual toes responding to our mind. Intention. Are we still growing upward? Are we still rooting downward? Where do both of those energies meet each other? In the middle, in our bodies, in our minds, in our spirit, our wisdom, in our breath. Where's the quietude? And if you wish, we'll hinge forward. I'm just going to walk my hands forward, keeping that base where it is, pulling and lengthening still. So all of that commitment that I had upward is now lengthening this way. And if you want to find a clasp on the feet, go ahead. Try not to apply pulling. Let it anchor you, but let all of your energy to actually come into this come from your core, not from your arms yanking and pulling yourself. Inner rotation of the upper thigh, just a little. Now commit to a new amount of time. And just breathe and observe. Observing without an expectation. So we're not like doing that watch pot never boils kind of thing. Let's watch the pot until it boils. Let's watch the actual boiling. Let's watch the process. Let's watch the pot. Let's watch the water. Let's watch the flame. And slowly bring yourselves up. Stay if you need. Bring ourselves up to a comfortable seated space. So Thursdays have been about new edges and maybe new ways of doing things. And you might have said, but I thought we were going to do Natarajasana or dancer, right? So our connection with holding that foot and finding the length was a wonderful way of an expression of that, just not standing on one leg, all right? Every moment that we were bringing in all of that awareness of the upper chest, that thoracic area, and finding lift and opening. That's all about our, yes, I'm totally fixing my clothes in front of the camera. That's all about our fish space, because physically, anatomically, we're still working in that area, just in a different shape. Starting to maybe build awareness that there are postures that can be preparatory postures for other postures. And maybe more adequate for us to also stay in observing the mind. Sometimes we have a better way of staying connected in balance with our mind and our body and breath in a different kind of manifestation of the same pose. And can we accept that as we grow into maybe bringing the mind along into that more strenuous manifestation of that pose? Do we know what areas of us are more at peace in different manifestations? And can we then start to cultivate mindful development of the areas that we want to build toward the equilibrium, not toward the perfection of any sort of space? The only thing that I also wanted to share is today we really spent some really specific time on some postures, and maybe actually that's starting to be more the name of the game on Tuesdays, in particular on Thursdays. I know Wednesdays we kind of move. I had a really dear friend of mine who had the pleasure, almost accidentally, of ending up studying with a guru in India after she had gone to visit someone who had a wedding in India. And so she met this person while she was there for the wedding and started to go back and forth to India for instruction with basically a guy under a tree. I think it's so cool. And she had been a part of, a vinyasa community that I had been practicing with, a lot of power and flow and all of that. And so I was just so eager when she came back once, and I wanted to know, like, ooh, what are you learning? What is this? Show me. And she said, well, my practice is completely changed, and you probably won't like it and wouldn't recognize it, because her guru had her work one pose. And that's what they did every day. Come sit under the tree in the heat of India and do one pose and go home. And so it really built it. And she certainly gave me far more in-depth, share about the experience. But I share this with you because I hope that some of you who have been staying and coming along, that you're noticing that, oh, if I unpack this and sit with this thing, whoa, wait a minute, there's some stuff going on in here. There's some internal fight in my mind. There's a whole bunch of internal fight in my body, and start to learn, like, what is that? That's why I said when we went into the downward dog, can you start to explore? You don't need someone to tell you, push here, tense there, do this, for you to start to explore what's going on in my body. It's your body. All right. Now, I am not in any way casting aspersions on any teacher or, anyone. I certainly provide various guidances about how to root here, how to do this. But I'm also really trying to practice stepping away from the mic in that regard so much. And I certainly don't want to go into the territory of this is what you should feel. I'm not in your skin. I haven't worn your skin for the number of times that you've gone around the sun. I'm doing good enough to really continue to learn how this flesh that I've been living in for 52 spins around the sun, how it's feeling today, how it wants to move, how it's continuing to cry about some unwise things I did in the skin I'm in when I was 15, 18, 22 yesterday. So I leave with that kind of TED Talk experience to maybe amplify a little bit more about Svadhyaya and about your physical practice, okay? Because you can really be isolating and focusing on a posture. I love movement. I do love the vinyasa. The vinyasa takes me into a different place, into a bit of a rhythm, into the cardiovascular and the respiratory systems working together. Also, once heat starts to build, I have a different relationship inside of the body. So I am not in any way saying abandon vinyasa. But as we're studying ourselves and our practice, you might start to say, what is the balance of the types of practices that I have been practicing, and how much vinyasa do I need? How much more still space do I need? So that you were bringing balance in that regard as well. All right. I did not expect to be sitting here yapping my face off, but clearly that's what I did. All right. Someone is knocking on the door, so I'm going to take that as a cue. Hands to the heart center. All that is love and light in me is deeply grateful for you. I'm Belinda with Just Be Yoga. This has been our home yoga practice live, and we're working on Svadhyaya this week, self-study. Please join us tomorrow, 10:30. We'll be doing our basics practice with self-study in mind. Also this weekend, always, we've got yoga basics at 10 o'clock, our Empower Yoga at 11:30. Sunday, we have our chakra yoga flow at 10:30. All right. Thank you all. Namaste.